Good evening, friends. Welcome back to our class. In last lecture, we discussed about the Lorentz transformation equation. Now, by using Lorentz transformation equation, we are going to clarify our time dilation concept and length contraction concept. In today's lecture, we will discuss a time dilation concept only. Now, what is about time dilation concept and how time get dilates, that we have to understand by using a special theory of relativity. Newton assumes that time is absolute by its very natural flowing uniformly without reference to anything external. Hence, there is a universal time flowing at a constant rate, which is unaffected by the motion or the position of an object and observer. This implies two things. The interval of time between two events has the same value for all observers irrespective of their state of motion. If two events are simultaneous for an observer, they are simultaneous for all observers irrespective of their state of motion, that is, simultaneity is absolute. But if that object moves with the velocity of light or the comparable with the velocity of light, at that time the concept of this time get changed. How? That we have to understand. Actually, a time dilation is a difference in the elapsed time measured by two clocks, either due to them having a velocity relative to each others, or by there being a gravitational potential difference between their locations. After compensating for varying signal delay due to the changing distance between an observer and the moving clock, the observer will measure the moving clock as ticking slower than clock that is at a rest in a observer's own reference frame. A clock that is close to a massive body will record less elapsed time than a clock situated further from the said massive body. As we discussed in last lecture, if you want to live 1,000 years, in that case you have to go in a space and stay near to the Schwarzschild radius of a black hole or near to the black hole. Then in that case your time get dilates. That concept was introduced when a special theory of relativity comes to know. Now we move forward. To understand a time dilation, the idea of proper time must be understood. The term proper time T naught is the time difference between two events occurring at the same position in an inertial frame as measured by clock at that position. The same location, proper time is not delay. That time is called as proper time, or that time is nothing but a T naught, which can be denoted by a symbol T naught. T naught is nothing but the time difference between two events occurring at the same position in an inertial frame as measured by a clock at that position. Not proper time. Beginning and ending of the events occur at different spatial position. In that case, time get dilates. How and how that time get dilates, that we have to understood with the help of example in next slide. But you have to understand the beginning and ending of the event occur at the different spatial positions, then we can able to find out the time dilation concept, and that time is nothing not proper time. How that we have to understood with the help of this example. Let us consider a two frame of references, system K or frame K, system K prime or frame K prime, whatever it may, system or frame, whatever it may, both are same. Now a frame S or K is at a rest and S prime is moving along positive x direction with a constant velocity v. Initially at time t is equal to 0, both frame of references lies at a same point. In that case, if we see two ladies are there, Mary and Melinda, both lies in a frame K prime and Frank is in K frame. Now one event is going to occur in a K frame, that is sparkler. Frank's clock is at the same position in a system K when the sparkler is light. When sparkle get light, in that case the time measured on a system K and system K prime by Frank and Melinda and Mary is same, because at time t is equal to 0, both frame of references lies at a same point. A system K having coordinate x, y and z, x, y, z and t. Similarly, a system K prime having coordinate x prime, y prime and z prime, t prime. One event is going to happen in a K system, that is sparkler is light in a K system, and that sparkler light get observed by two lady which is present in a system K prime. Initially both lies at a same point at t is equal to 0. The event observed at a time is t1 with respect to the system K, and the same event observed by Mary and Melinda with a time t1 prime in system K prime. Now our K prime frame moves along positive x direction with a constant velocity v. That same event observed by Frank with a time t2, and the same event observed by Melinda and Mary with a system K prime is t2 prime. We do not see a time delay on the clock in the moving frame. For them all is fine. It is just if the time interval are compared between frames, the one is K prime is longer. How that we have to find out. Proper time in the frame that is apparently not moving. A Frank's clock is at the same position in system K when the sparkle is light in A, in figure A, and when it goes out in a B, Mary in the moving system K prime is beside the sparkler at A, Melinda then moves into the position where and when the sparkler extinguishes at B. Thus, Melinda at the new position measures the time in system K prime when the sparkler goes out in B. Means the simple example. Initially at time t is equal to 0, sparkler will get light, sparkler is lit. Then we measure the time at t is equal to 0. Both frame of references coincide with each others. In that case, clock measure a time t1 with respect to the system k1, clock measure time t1 prime with respect to the system k prime. Same event can be observed when a system k prime moves along positive x direction with constant velocity v, and that event measures on a clock with the time t2 with respect to system k and the time t2 prime with respect to the system k prime. That's it. Now, if we see normally there is no time difference or there is no time dilation is there, but if you find out or if you understand, t prime is greater than t naught, or the time measured between two events at a different position is greater than the time between the same event at one position, that is time dilation. The event do not occur at the same space and time coordinates in the two inertial frames. To transfer time and space coordinate between inertial frame, one need to use a Lorentz transformation instead of Galen transformation, because our object is moved with the velocity of light, or that event can be occurred with very frequently. There is no physical difference between k and k prime. Proper time is not delayed. We just assigned a proper time to Frank. As we see in slide 4 and 5, we could as well have analyzed the problem from the Frank of the two girls. Then they would have to have the proper time. How? That we have to find out. Mary and Melinda measures the time 2 times for the sparkler to be light and to go out in a system k prime as at times t1 prime and t2 prime, so that the Lorentz transformation equation, as we discussed in last lecture, t prime is equal to t minus Vx by c square divided by square root of 1 minus v square by c square. One event occurred at t2 prime and another event observed at t1 prime. t2 prime is equal to t2 minus v by c square into x2 by square root of 1 minus v square by c square, and t1 prime is equal to t1 minus v by c square x1 divided by square root of 1 minus v square by c square. Now, I want to find out the time interval between t2 prime and t1 prime. As we see in this figure, t1 prime measured at in this situation when both are lies at the same point, both frame of reference lies at the same point. Similarly, t2 prime time observed when a system k prime moves along positive x direction with a constant velocity v. That is why we are getting a 2 times t2 prime and t1 prime. If we subtract t2 prime minus t1 prime, which is equal to t2 minus t1 minus v by c square into x2 minus x1 divided by square root of 1 minus v square by c square. Note here, Frank records x2 minus x1 is equal to 0 in k, because system k at a stationary state, it does not move. That's why x2 minus x1 is equal to 0. Then proper time measured by Frank t naught is equal to t2 minus t1. Therefore, t2 prime minus t1 prime is the time measured by Mary and Melinda, which is equal to t prime. T prime is equal to t naught by square root of 1 minus v square by c square. We know 1 by square root of 1 minus v square by c square is nothing but a gamma. Therefore, t prime is equal to gamma into t naught. Gamma into t naught. Now, by using this formula, we have to understand how time get dilates. Just simply remember that t prime is equal to gamma times proper time. Gamma times proper time. Gamma into t naught. Okay. When two events occurs at the same location in an inertial frame, the time interval between them measured in that frame is called as proper time. Measurement of the same time interval from any other inertial frame are always greater. Therefore, delta t is equal to delta t naught divided by square root of 1 minus v square by c square, or delta to, instead of delta t you can write t prime, instead of delta t naught you can write capital T naught. Different books having different notations, that's why, but the meaning of that formula is same. In the previous case, Mary and Melinda measures a proper time interval and Frank measures a greater time interval. Sorry, some mistake is there. In the previous case, Frank measures a proper time interval. Instead of Frank, I am writing Mary and Melinda. Just correct that one. In the previous case, Frank measures a proper time interval, and Mary and Melinda measures a greater time interval. The amount by which a measure time interval is greater than the corresponding proper time interval is called a time dilation. Time dilation. Therefore, time dilation is equal to gamma times proper time. Now, this gamma is called as Lorentz factor. How that Lorentz factor get affected? Due to the v by c, due to the ratio of v by c, that we have to notice. Notice that the clock ticks longer, and as a result the moving person is less. How? If v by c, or the ratio of v by c is equal to 1, in that case gamma tends to infinite. Gamma tends to, sorry, Lorentz factor goes to infinite when v is greater than or equal to c. Yes, same concept is. If this v is equal to the velocity of light, then, or comparable with the velocity of light, in that case we can write instead of v you can write c. Therefore c by c is nothing but 1, square of 1 is 1, 1 minus 1 is 0. Therefore anything divided by 0 is nothing but infinite. If v is comparable with the velocity of light, in that case gamma or Lorentz factor tends to infinite. That I want to explain, but it is very close to 1 for v by c small. If v is very less than c, in that case gamma tends to 1. We can understand by using this graph. Okay. If we see the ratio of v by c, as the ratio of v by c increases, the factor Lorentz factor or the gamma goes on increases. If v by c is equal to 0.1, in that case gamma is nearly equal to 1. If v by c is 0.2, in that case gamma is equal to 1.021. As v by c increases, gamma also increases and it tends to 0 if v by c is equal to 1. Now, why don't we ordinarily notice a time dilation? Some examples of speed in meter per second. 464 meters per second Earth's rotation at the equator. 559 meter per second the average speed of Concorde's record Atlantic crossing. 1000 meter per second the speed of a typical rifle bullet. 1400 meter per second the speed of space shuttle. 8000 meter per second the speed of space shuttle just before it enters orbit. 11,082 meter per second the high speed record for manned vehicle set by Apollo 10. 29,800 meter per second speed of the Earth in orbit around the Sun, about 30 kilometer per second. Now, if we compare above all examples with the speed of light, then we are able to understand which is 3 into 10 to the power of 8 or 3 lakh kilometer per second. 3 lakh kilometer per second. It is a tremendous velocity as compared to the above examples. That's why when any object moves with the relativistic velocity, at that time we have to introduce a new concept, that is a special theory of relativity instead of Newtonian mechanics. Okay. Now just see one example. A Alpha Centauri is a 4.3 light year from our Earth. It takes a light 4.3 year to travel from Earth to Alpha Centauri. How long would people on the Earth think it take to spaceship travel with velocity v is equal to 0.95 times the velocity of light to reach Alpha Centauri? Means in this examples the distance of that Alpha Centauri is 4.3 light year and the velocity of our spaceship is 0.95 times the velocity of light. Then I want to find out how much time required to travel from Earth to Alpha Centauri. That can be find out delta t is equal to distance upon velocity. We know the distance is 4.3 light year. Light year means what? The distance traveled by light throughout the year, that is 3 into 10 to the power of 8 into 365 days into 24 hours into 60 minutes into 60 seconds into 4.3 divided by 0.95 into C, which is equal to 4.5 years. 4.5 years. Peoples on ship have proper time. They see Earth leave and Alpha Centauri arrive in delta t times. Means delta t naught is nothing but our proper time. Now we know the delta t, which is equal to 4.5 years. My aim is to find out the proper time, or delta t naught is equal to delta t into square root of 1 minus v square by c square, which is equal to 4.5 into square root of 1 minus c, v is nothing but 0.95 c square. C square get cancelled. 1 minus 0.95 square. If you calculate, then delta t naught, a proper time, is equal to 1.4 year. Just see the difference between delta t and delta t naught. In this way, time get dilates. Time get dilates if the velocity of that object is comparable with the velocity of light or nearly equal to the velocity of light. Then and then only we can observe this kind of phenomena. Okay. Now, if you have any doubt related with time dilation concept, you can ask me anytime. Thank you.